So, Chris, excited? You're the owner.
Excited, extremely excited. I've been waiting for this moment for quite some time.
Yeah, we're saying it's 5 years it's been in there.
It's been about 5 years, yeah, in the making. Yeah, bought it about 7 or 8 years ago. Took a couple of years to get it to this, make that decision, and yeah, it's been 5 years. So here we go.
We're just a few days off its first showing as well, eh?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we've decided to take it to MotorEx.
Yeah.
Yeah, for its unveiling, and then a couple of weeks after that, it goes to Bathurst for GD Nationals.
Right, cool.
So pretty exciting moment.
Well, not long now. We should be able to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to a new Dave's Classic Garage Tours video, and today I'm back at Grand Tourer. In this episode, we could have what you might call TV, actual Jeopardy. It's a little over, actually it's less than a week away now from MotorEx, one of Australia's foremost car shows at the Melbourne Showgrounds. And we've got actually one, maybe two cars being readied. Certainly the yellow ochre XY from 1970 has been in the shop since late last year. After having been painted and body and paint being done elsewhere, and obviously coming back here to be all fitted up together. It's really is a countdown now to see if it can be sorted out and done. Hopefully today we'll see the engine being turned over for the first time. But for now, let's just go and see how they're getting along.
They're like a brick. Yeah, because there's no moisture in them.
This is, I would presume, a 1969, is it? This car? Yeah?
Yeah, let's go.
And this is, you are?
Alex.
Hello, Alex. Alex, you're first time I've seen you outside the office. What's going on? You're the apprentice here now.
Yeah, so I was in parts for 2 years, thereabouts, and kind of seemed more interested in just the mechanical side of things and doing that, so got me out here doing that now.
Right, great stuff. Great stuff. And privilege, I guess, to working on these sort of cars now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I thought about doing, like before I started here, just a normal mechanics apprenticeship at like a dealership or something. But yeah, the chance to work on cars like this was pretty exciting.
Great stuff. Do they hold any sort of historical interest for you? The family had one or anything like that?
Before I started, I didn't really give a stuff about them. And then, you know, slowly I started to think, hey, these are actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I see the light now. So,
Yeah. You feel the energy in this place of the enthusiasm for them.
what it's all about, you know, why people like them,
Yeah.
you know, how much they do. So,
Right.
yeah.
Great stuff. And this one's particularly special. I believe it's the boss's car, isn't it?
Yeah, so a bit of nerves working on it. Make sure it's all right.
Right,
But,
okay.
Yeah.
And is it going off? Is this going off to Nationals, GT Nationals?
Yeah, he's driving it up.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so
Not as a
long
show.
time.
This is driver. Yeah. Car is it? Or,
It's.
but it's,
I'm not sure if it's in the show or not, actually.
right.
I have to ask him.
Well, it looks the part. Anyway. All right.
Yeah,
I'll leave you to it,
so,
buddy.
yeah. Cheers,
Got
mate.
work to do, no worries. Cheers. Yeah. Won't be in the concourse, I'd imagine.
It gets used.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a user. It's a daily.
It's not sitting there in a shed.
No.
So
It's wonderful.
nice to see.
Yeah. So what else are you doing on this one now? You've just been tightening up, you say?
Just a nut and bolt check at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, greasing things.
Yeah.
The input shaft on the gearbox was worn.
Yeah.
So that's all that's been out. Just got that back in this morning.
Right. Right.
And just little things. You know, the bonnet cable.
Yeah. All
A
good.
new set of plugs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Oh yeah. Lovely. Well used. Right, Michael. So the pressure's on then, yeah?
It is.
This is the 1970 XY. Chris is it's going off to MotorEx.
It is, yep.
And the GT Nationals.
Yep.
What you been up to today on it?
We're going to try, go over the car, make sure it's all okay with the brake bleeding and clutch bleeding. If everything goes okay, we'll try and start it up as well. And yeah, just try and put some small Ks on it just to make sure everything's okay before it goes to MotorEx. We've only got a couple of days, so it's on. Everyone's rushing now, so
Yeah.
get it all done.
Okay, so we might have the first engine start up today for it.
Possibly have it started.
So there's all fluids in there, is it? Or
All fluid in there. Yeah, I'm just going over now. Brake lines and stuff. I've got Greg up in the car, just pumping the pedal before I bleed it, just to make sure there's no leaks before we start, and make sure everything's all nipped up tight enough.
Great stuff.
And then I can start bleeding everything. So yeah.
Cool. All right, mate. I'll keep out your way. And here, I suppose we can see the famous sort of spray levels there that Grand Tour is famous for getting right, just back to factory and what have you. It's me breathing heavily. Look at that. Quite astounding, isn't it? Look at that. As it would be done, coming out of the factory across the road in Campbellfield at Broadmeadows, Ford Broadmeadows, the main Australian plant, any Wednesday afternoon. So they reckon there was about 12 painters at any one time. I think it was any one time on the shift, and you know, depending on what side of the bed they've got out of that morning, depending who it was, would depend upon how much overspray there was. I wonder, you know, could you actually be able to tell who the painter was by how far they went into the wheel well and what have you? Still looks great. That line that David mentions, it's harder to dumb down with today's paints than it is to, you know, to get it perfect. There's Dan, busy away. Last few bits to go in, Dan.
Yeah, it is, mate. It's the tail lights and bits and pieces we're just finishing off. So we're just gluing some gaskets in, and I've put all the sockets in internally.
Right.
These have just come back from the painter, so we're just getting the last few bits ready to go on.
Right.
So she's almost there.
Yeah. So this kind of countdown and what have you, is it, you know, you having sleepless nights about getting it ready for this sort of thing, or you're confident?
No, we're confident. So the car's got to be there Thursday, so yeah, plenty of time to sort of get it up and running and sorted.
Right. Okay. You're pretty much nearly over the line now.
Yeah.
What's the main issue you're looking to get
as long
sorted
as
out?
it drives alright, it doesn't really have to drive very far. He's only got to move it in off the trailer and stuff, but we just want to do just a little bit of road testing around the area and just sort things out, make sure everything works, and
Okay, mate. Cool.
run over the car, make sure all the lights and bits and pieces work, and yeah,
Great stuff. All right, mate.
so it's almost there.
I'll leave you to it. So what's happened to the Orange XC over there, Dan? You see I see the sort of front grills out again now. And
The grill's never been in it.
Oh, no?
No.
Oh,
So yeah, that's basically, we've got the rear window back now, and shortly after the 15 Nationals, we're going to hook in full steam on that one.
right.
Get
Okay.
it up and running and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
is just having the time at the moment, just prepping the last few cars for the Nationals. And,
So what's going up there now?
so we've got this one here is going. That gold car's going, so that's one of the owners of Grand Tourer.
He's just driving that one up, yeah?
Yeah, he's going to drive it up. So we've done just a few basic sort of checkovers and service and bits and pieces.
Yeah. That's not to go into competition or anything like that. He's just
going
drive
to drive it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You actually have more fun if you treat them like that and you drive them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To me, that's what they're built for.
Yeah.
The ones that sit in the shed, you don't get the enjoyment.
No, I couldn't.
I'd rather drive.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, there's a few going. So that blue one.
Oh, the blue one. Yeah, we'll have to have a little walk around with that one when you're done.
Yeah, that's a car that me and Neil built. Geez, it might have been 10 years ago.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, we built it for a guy, and he actually halfway through the build he passed away, and his wife ended up taking over the build, and we finished it for her, and she had it for a fair few years. But just recently she sold it the last 2 years. She sold it to someone. Right. Which is another customer of ours, Dave, who's been a long-term customer. So yeah, he's bought the car now, and we're just doing a few upgrades. And,
okay.
We're changing the trim back to the factory colour it was.
I was going to say, that silver, would that be on the bonnet?
Yeah, the blue and silver's factory.
Oh right, okay.
And that's actually an XC colour, that one, which is called Neptune Blue. It's a rarer colour. So the interior in it, when it was getting built, Lynn wanted a black interior in it. So it ended up getting changed to black, but it's a factory chamois trim car. So we're putting chamois trim back in it now.
So what's colours of chamois?
Chamois is like a
fawn, is it browny?
Yeah. So probably a little bit like the colour of the car, but a bit lighter.
Yeah. Right, okay. Yeah. Oh well, that's
it'll set it off with that.
I was going to say, geez, yeah.
You can actually see a few of the bits in the back of it that's colour.
They're still there?
Yeah, there's a couple of bits of vinyl that we've glued in where they need to go.
Right.
Yeah, it sets off and it highlights with the black trim. It's very dark inside.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas that'll highlight the trim.
That's a costly conversion for presumably a perfectly good
when it's already
interior.
got a trim in it,
Okay, certainly I think behind you there, that's my favourite colour. This ice blue, is it? No.
Yeah, it's called diamond white. But
Diamond white.
Have like a bit of that
diamond white. Okay.
Blue tinge to it, yeah.
Stunning colour, especially set off with that gold in there.
Yeah, it looks good.
Considering how that came in, it was pretty dull, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
The paintwork and whatever.
It certainly had the 80s treatment.
Yeah,
A lot of chrome and bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And the wheels that were on it. So
and that will be a driver, that one, will it?
Yeah, I think so. The guy who owns it, I think he's got a little bit of a collection of cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully he gets out and drives it a little bit.
Yeah. Right, it's counting down there, Dave. But so you're just telling me this, the attention to detail now. We'll just go over it again. The paint at the finish, the panel gaps. What is it that makes something that comes out of Grand Tourer that bit different?
Biggest challenge for us is we're trying to make the car look like it was mass produced, not like a show car standard, because that's a totally different discipline all over again. And with the genuine cars, you want to try and replicate the factory finish as best you can. So we want the highest quality job as possible. We want the finish dumbed down so that it looks like it's mass produced. So we want the quality to be as high as possible, but we want the finish dumbed down so that it looks like it's mass produced. So the challenge is with the modern materials is we don't want to lay on too much material. We want slight orange peel left in the paint.
Yeah.
Not too glossy, overspray in the right places. Need the material to be thin because the cars were painted from the top down. So there would have been a couple of spray painters leaning over the car with guns and hoses and As they worked their way down, the paint finishes would have got thinner, and in the engine bay, certain areas of the engine bay and under the front didn't get a lot of coverage.
Yeah, yeah.
So
This is the first time I've seen that bit under here. This, I mean, I've seen the wheel well before, but even this is just, you know, that's all stuff that's picked up in detail there. Yeah,
it sort of becomes a translucent finish.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to replicate what the factory did as close as possible.
yeah.
So not to say that there's anything wrong with a show car standard, but it's just a totally different discipline, and you match that job with the appropriate car. But because these things are worth so much money now, you try and get them as close to original as you can.
Sure. And those panel gaps, you said, you know, Dan would have been working closely with the guy, you know, putting the car together and what have you. Like I say, you know, we said it in the first video we did. It's not an Audi.
You want it to be, once
There,
again,
I think there's a question I asked you earlier. Is there a standard that, you know, Neil set of those panel gaps or back in the day that you would keep to now, or how does that work out? Because obviously they would have been, each car would have been probably different coming out of.
yeah, look, I'd say the guys that are working in the industry would observe a lot of these cars over the journey, original cars and the likes, and got an idea of how consistent their panel gaps were. None of them were perfect out of the factory because they were a mass-produced item, and you know, the body shell doesn't know whether it's a Falcon 500 taxi or it's a GTHO Phase 3. It's exactly the same process. So long as we're somewhere near consistent with what the factory did, and Neil and Dan and the crew over the journey would have identified roughly what that would have been. And on this particular car, Dan's worked pretty closely with the panel beater and the spray painter to try and get the quality of the car as close to factory as possible. Yeah, usually when you're gapping up a car at the panel shop, when it's still in metal and being reconditioned, you start at the back and work your way forward.
And how does that judge? What are they looking particularly at?
Consistency is probably a good answer. You want the gaps to be consistent all around the car, and probably once again the judges are familiar with what they were like back in the day.
Yeah.
So you know, if that was a Summonat show car, you know, they might have been going for tighter body gaps again, and panel alignment would be potentially up another level again.
Right.
But this is consistent with
This is
factory.
what Chris wanted factory. He wanted
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's something he, you know, was insistent on.
Yeah. And
And
we
getting across to me when I talked to him.
and we'd certainly try and guide the customer in that direction as well.
Yeah.
Let go.
Yeah. Well, he looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's not far off now.
Hopefully,
Hold it
we'll
down. Hold again.
hang around and see a engine
Hold
start,
it.
maybe.
Get it to burst into life.
We'll see. Okay. Cheers, mate.
Let go.
No worries. It basically goes through a similar pre-delivery process as what a new car would from the factory. So
Yeah.
full nut and bolt check. Even though there's not many areas on the car that haven't been touched, there's a process and a checklist.
Sure.
Oh yeah, just leave my light to die in there. That's leaving my motor under the panel. Should I tell Chris to turn it over? Should I tell Chris to turn it over? Yeah. You can.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So, Chris, excited? You're the owner.
Excited, extremely excited. I've been waiting for this moment for quite some time.
Yeah. We're saying it's 5 years. It's been in there.
It's been about 5 years, in the making. Bought it about 7 or 8 years ago. Took a couple of years to get it make that decision, and it's been 5 years. So here we go.
We're just a few days off its first showing as well, eh?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we've decided to take it to MotorEx. for its unveiling, and then a couple of weeks after that it goes to Bathurst
Right.
for GD Nationals.
Right, cool.
So pretty exciting moment.
And is it not your first one though, is it?
It's not my first. I've had a few GTs in the past. A couple of XWs. I've still got an XW now, GT. But first XY GT.
Right.
Always looked for one with a sunroof in it.
Right.
Finally found it.
What was what's the big attraction, for the sunroof? For you?
First car was an XY GS. Factory GS, and it had a sunroof in it.
Right.
And just always wanted one with a roof in it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Right, cool. And they are, do you know the numbers? How many got produced or?
To be quite honest, I'm not too sure on the numbers, but this is one of them.
Yeah, sure. That's certainly first one I've seen.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, not long now. We should be able to hear it.
Yeah. Good work, Mick. Good on you, mate.
That's Barry. No?
Mick's smiling, that's okay. It's okay when Mick's smiling. Happy? Good.
Sounds good, huh?
How you doing? No fuel works, no nothing.
Hey, nothing. Beautiful.
Key, man. Thermostats just started opening.
All right, yeah.
So next up is Justin coming along to detail it before.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, he's going to give it a dehib and then give it a polish and final detail and everything. Make it sparkle.
Ready for
Ready
showground.
for MotorEx, yeah.
All right, great stuff. Nice one.